To multiply by a monomial, that's just one term, would be like an example for the first one. Make sure you write this down. It would be using the distributive property. And feel free to pause this at any time if you need to. And I usually show little arrows showing the 3 needs to multiply by 5x, which is 15x. And the 3 has to multiply by the negative 1. So negative 1 times 3 is negative 3. You try the second one. 10x times, and sometimes we say the quantity 2x plus 3, which means put parentheses around 2x plus 3. You take the 2x, or the 10x, and multiply by the 2x. 10 times 2 is 20. X times x is x squared. Then multiply the 10x by the positive 3. 10 times 3 is 30. And an x. There's nothing that multiplies against the x. Let's try the next one. 6x squared times the quantity 5x squared minus 2x plus 3. And again, you may want to pause this. This monomial gets multiplied by 5x squared, so 6 times 5, 30. X squared times x squared makes x to the 4th. 6x squared times negative 2x, I do negative 2 times 6, which gives me negative 12. X squared times x means that I have 3 x's. X cubed. 6x squared times 3. 6 times 3 is 18. And the x squared goes along with it because nothing multiplies with it. On the same worksheet, we're going to also practice binomials being multiplied by another binomial. And you might remember this from FOIL. We have a few different methods that we use here. In Alden High School, we use double distributive, and we use FOIL. They both mean the same thing, just like what we were doing before. This x has to get multiplied by that x. We call that the first term. That's where the f comes from. X times x is x squared. O stands for outer, so it means the 2 outer things. Basically, it's still the distributive property, though. We want to make sure the x goes to each parts of the other binomial, x and the minus 4. X times negative 4 is negative 4x. I is the inner. It means the 2's got to go to the x. 2 times x is 2x. And L stands for last. 2 times negative 4 is negative 8. So FOIL is the exact same thing as double distributive. You're making sure that you multiply the first term by both parts of the other term and the second term by both parts of the binomial. Now, we don't leave this as our final answer because we have an x in the middle for 2 things. I have no other x squareds. I have no other numbers that are by themselves, so I carry those down. But negative 4x plus 2x is negative 2x. This is my final answer. So to try it again, we would do, this has to go to, if you want to do the first term, or if you want to think of it as distributive, we want to multiply 2x and 3x, 6x squared. 2x times negative 4, negative 8x. 1 times 3x plus 3x. 1 times negative 4. negative 4. We don't want to leave it like that. We only have a 6x squared and a negative 4. Those are, nothing can combine with that, but we do have two x's in the middle. Negative 8x plus 3x gives me negative 5x. Time to practice on your own.